We have, well, let me just tell you about that. Someone asked about the physics. So this is the latest. And what we've seen now, there's several videos of molten metal pouring out of the south tower just before its collapse. In other words, within about 3 or 4 minutes of its collapse, particularly starting about 2 minutes before it collapsed. And right at the point, as you look at the video, where there's twisting and failure, right there is where this molten metal comes out. Now the molten metal is yellow-white in color. And furthermore, just before you see this metal pouring out, there's a white, it's called a fire in the National Lab, the NIST report. But it's, anyway, it looks kind of like a fire, but they say it must be a metal fire. Could be. Some kind of very intense chemical reaction to be white hot like that. With white, they call it smoke, but it's the dust that comes out of this. So the question is, what is this? Somebody called in and said, well, it's just the steel melted. Well, there's several arguments which I'll raise tomorrow, but the main one against that, of course, the National Lab scientists have looked at that. The fires did not get anywhere hot enough to melt the structural steel. That's number one. Number two, the NIST commissioned Underwriter Labs to do actual tests on models. These are floor assemblies for the tower, and actually model them and then subject these to very severe fire endurance tests. Well, the steel did not melt in any of those tests. And in fact, and this also is in the report, the floor assemblies, the models, they couldn't even get them to collapse. And so those experiments have been done. There was no melting. So what is this yellow hot metal coming out? Well, in the NIST report they say, and it's said as a speculation, this perhaps is the airplanes, or the airplane, not too far away, but it's maybe 100 feet away, that melted, and the molten aluminum made it in the floor gave way, and the molten aluminum came out. So back to the aluminum that these guys are surmising is coming out of this building. The trouble is we did experiments with Wes, it doesn't turn. The pot is red hot now as he's pouring it out. The aluminum's still silvery. Right. So I said, well, heat the pot up, you know, to these oxyacetylene torch. It's a yellow-white hot, the pot, and inside the aluminum was still gray, silvery gray. That's right. Have you worked with molten aluminum?
I've worked at Geneva. I know all about melting metals and what temperatures they go at. I'm a welder.
This is great.
I'm also a
contractor. I'd like to have you look at this paper as we work on a little more. But anyway, so then I said, well, let's try this. Put your torch right on the aluminum. Let's heat this right up, you know. So for about 40 seconds, that's a little scary. But it didn't, I mean, you know, you don't know what it's going to do. Yeah, I mean, you'd have aluminum oxide peel off in layers as he's doing that. But the aluminum throughout this process stayed silvery gray and never looked yellow hot. And I said, well, if you did that to steel, oh yes, it would be yellow hot easily within this time of this treatment. But the aluminum continued silvery gray. So the point is, it's not aluminum coming off of there. And another point is, if the aluminum melts about 600 centigrade, which is red hot, but it would still look silvery. But the aluminum is not going to wait there while you heat it to yellow hot temperature. You know, it's a plane. If there's heat source, it would flow. As soon as it melts, it flows. It's not like it's in a pot where you're. And even if it wasn't a pot, it wouldn't look yellow and gray.
It's like mercury. When it gets up, it's just like mercury.
Yeah, it looks just really quite like, that's good. Like mercury, you've seen that silvery. So we ruled that out.